At the peak of his non-violence campaign and demand for the right of Ogoni people and compensation for the desecration of the environmental degradation as a result of the exploration of oil within the Ogoni communities and the barons, Ken Saro Wiwa was executed on the 10th of November 1995 after being tried by a special military court on alleged assassination of 5 chiefs of the Ogoni leaders who attended a pro-government meeting. So he was allegedly accused of being responsible for the killings of these 5 chiefs and was tried by a special military court and eventually executed by Sani Abacha, the dictator, in defiance to international appeals. International appeals coming from left and right, from the world powers. Abacha, a dictatorship, went ahead to execute Ken Saro Wiwa. You see, Ken Saro Wiwa has been a notable personality within the eastern region because there was nothing like South South. South South was created after Abacha set up some panels of inquiry headed by Dr. Les Ekweme, and that was one of the recommendations in a way to pacify the region on the death or assassination, will I say the murder or the execution of Saro Wiwa. People were aggrieved that someone who was fighting for the rights of the people, because of the injustice meted on the region where he comes from, and eventually was allegedly set up and killed by Abacha, of course, the North. Now you can understand what is playing out within the Nigeria. Whenever someone rises up and demands for what is just, equitable distribution, and fair treatment of his people, he will be considered as a target to be hunted down. After the recommendation of Les Ekweme-led panel, that was in 1997, the South-South whatever region was created from the western and eastern region. Of course, they have to cut from here, and join it to become South-South. There was nothing like South-South. For some people who don't know, that just say South-South. South-South is just a recommendation by Alessio Ekweme. So what we have is the eastern region and the western region and the northern region. You can understand it. This divide and rule has been playing out for quite a long time. And why, again, was Ken Saro Wiwa killed or executed by the Nigerian government along 8 others activists? Because of they were very in the front line of fighting for the people of the region because of the injustice, in quote, injustice personified by the Nigerian government. You can't be harnessing, exploring the region, desecrating the ecosystem. Their farmlands are being desecrated, oil spillage. They could no longer have access to potable drinking water, being predominantly farmers. Of course, fishers could no longer have a bountiful harvest because of the effect or the impact of the oil exploration in that region. So Nigerian story is not just today. People who rise to demand for justice, for equity and fairness is being considered as an enemy of their interests, not just the enemy of Nigeria, enemy of the northern interests and cabal. With the latest move by the junior brother, Dr. Owens Wiwa, and the Ogoni leaders meeting with Ahmed Bola Tinubu in Asharok, will redefine, of course, the way forward. According to Dr. Owens Wiwa, he is arguing or appealing that the federal government of Nigeria should exonerate his brother Ken Saro Wiwa and the 8 others executed. Well, that was done because Abacha believes that is an opportunity to silence Saro Wiwa and every other person that may want to rise to oppose whatever ambition he has been nursing, of course, within those dispensations. And that is quite unfortunate. This happens, they consider Saro Wiwa to be a threat to them, and eventually the only way is to do what they believe is the only way forward for them. But here we are today. The brother to Ken Saro Wiwa meeting with Ahmed Bola Tinubu, and Ahmed Bola Tinubu is trying to war the Ogoni people. He's trying to buy their sympathy by considering compensating the Ogoni people and the family of King Saro Wiwa over the gruesome murder. Well, execution, let me not use it because the military doesn't know what is fundamental human rights and the right of people to defend themselves, even despite indifference with international law, appeals, interventions. Abacha never give a dime. Of course, he went on to execute Saro Wiwa and the 8 others activists and damn the consequences. Of course, history has the rest to say at this particular time. Now, has the story changed? Has what Saro Wiwa demanding has such been met by the Nigerian government? Of course, to no avail. Today, the lingering issue is still staring at us. The unfortunate degradation of the ecosystem within the Ogoni and the environs, in fact, the entire region is, and the impact, unfortunately, will not be solved in the next 50 years. But how do we begin? Of most recent, during Buhari's time, the Vice President, Yemi Osinbajo, visited the region, made promises, heaven on earth, to commission and flag off the Ogoni cleanup. Everything just ended there. When Buhari comes back, whatever happens, only God and them will tell. It was, of course, discarded, abandoned, for whatever reason best known to them. Today, those regions, more oil degradation, the ecosystem degradation, spillage is something that is very worrisome. Whether Tinubu will consider, of course, embarking in that, which is being projected to take more than 3 decades for them to make any positive impact in terms of restoring the ecosystem and the region where people could have a fresh breath of air within the region. Unfortunately, they have been greatly impacted. Their farmlands, the secretion, and the water bodies, of course, is something that have been written off, well, as the case is. Now, the region that produces, that lays the golden egg, that produces the resources where that is used to run Nigerian government, because without oil, Nigeria is over-dependent on oil. And the region that produces this oil have been badly treated, grossly abused, and yet nobody has to talk. If you talk, you are gone. It's quite unfortunate. The people that rose up after King Saro Wiwa, they are just to collect, when they front themselves, they collect, of course, bargain and enrich themselves at the expense of others. They are no longer calling for the interests of the majority of the region to be protected. But once they have access, they enrich themselves and make themselves warlords and all that. Cabals within the region, you know, the lives of Asari Dokubo, and Pontopolo, and the rest of them. They are now mafias within the region. But the issue is that, yes, they have made their words and whatever fame, but has the nagging issue been resolved? The lingering issue still sustains today. The degradation, the lack of compensation, adequate compensations for the indigenous communities has not been taken into cognizance. I mean, even when the reform or made some adjustments, what they were able to capture was it 3% of whatever for the regions and 13% derivative. Those things does not make sense considering the negative impact in inconveniences that has caused the people and the community losing their, of course, their farmlands and the rest of them. So there should be adequate reconsideration of this if Nigeria must continue. Perhaps Tinubu believes that with this move he is embarking on, perhaps he will gain the support of the Ogoni people, and the oil exploration will also increase. And perhaps we'll find some little change, or Ghana must go to one or two of the leaders, and eventually the family of Saro Wiwa, and that will die down. But the issue, the present demand should be restructuring. Let each region control their resources, manage their own environments and security. That is the only way to address the lingering crisis bordering on insecurity, lack of good basic amenities, lack of infrastructures could only be addressed by people controlling their resources. It doesn't matter. Of course, the North has gold. So what are you talking? They have gold, liquid goals. They have plutonium. They have different solid minerals being that is in the highest demand, that's been sought for the world over. So what is that that will stop them from developing? So asking for restructure, asking for each region to control their resources is not a bad idea, because the North are not disadvantaged. They have expanse of land, they have solid minerals yet to be discovered. Even the ones available can turn around the fortunes of the North. So why are they afraid, of course, of Nigerian division or disintegration or regional control? The average Fulani man will always oppose the structuring, will always oppose whatever that will address the injustice, the imbalance, in the system. And that is to not start from today. It's been as long as Nigeria, but then it is left for the people of this time, of the survivors of today, to address these myriads of issues that is bedeviling the region. Otherwise, it will continue. The battle will be shifted to the next generation, and the impact and the effect will remain unabating. So, Tinubu meeting with the family and the leaders of Ogoni, of course, does not solve the problem, except he lives up to the reality and expectations. People should demand that their rights be protected at all costs, regardless of whatever interests anyone might have coming from any angle. The people of Ogoni, as I said, the eastern people must be protected, because there was nothing like South before Saro Wiwa was killed. South came into being, was established after the death of King Saro Wiwa. So we are talking about the eastern region that have been marginalized, suppressed, oppressed, and systematically skimmed out of events. Even when they lay the golden egg, that when they produces the golden egg, unfortunately that is being eaten by other regions and being neglected. The eagle that lays the golden egg is being left at the mercy of whatever happens to him. This set of conspiracy or corporate conspiracy must be addressed, and there is no better time than now. Look at what the Fulanis are saying, that after the tenure of Tinubu, there will be nothing like zoning again, which means they are perfecting way to perpetually enslave other regions and ethnic nationality, thinking they could usurp uh, the right of other people to decide who should govern them. So this has not ended. The war indirectly has not ended. And the demand and persuasion are sustained by these 8 activists and Sarowiwa has prompted Nnamdi Kanu, of course, to embark on that seeking for redress. That is just it. Nnamdi Kanu was canvassing, advocating for regional control of resources and other systems that will engender prosperity for the regions and manage their own peculiar challenges. But then he was seen or perceived by the same people, and unfortunately, in connivance with the perceived enemies of development and progress of the region to antagonize Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Today, history is made. You can understand it is not just asking for exoneration of King Saro Wiwa and the 8 others, but what was their mission? What was the target? What were they demanding? Is it out of place, or is it something that is due for the people? These are important things we can take home. And the important thing again is that compensation, there is no amount of compensation to Saro Wiwa, to the 8 people and the Ogoni leaders or whatever that could be commensurate enough to console them for the impact of this brutal negligence, of deliberate negligence and assault on their own ecosystem, on their own environment, environmental degradation, and the rest of them. Unless those issues have been addressed and duly compensated for decades of exploitation and oil exploration, there could not be justice served. Well, let's get to know your take on regarding this development and the way forward.